What's going on here?
Fair enough. Oh, hey, Misha, you can join up.
Misha, darling, I'll have you out of here in 20 minutes.
So, like I said, you can only violate the will of a person who has it to begin with. Neither a chair or that baby you just showed me have that.
But you have no will.
Hi, Misha. Can we go over this again? Okay, we're gonna go over this again.
Hi.
Okay.
Okay, let's go over it one more time.
So, right here we have Jaxon Buell. He had no brain. He did have a brain stem, as you can see. He had some level of consciousness, even if it was at minimal.
That's
and with your
fact.
stance, you would say that it is fine, since this is not a person, that we can use them for organ harvesting, or if the parents consented, you could use them for a SMEX doll.
What do you mean, or? It's if the parents consented for both. Like,
Oh, dear Lord.
me saying I don't give a like, we all agree that a chair doesn't have any person. Does that mean we could just like go around and like sitting on whatever chair we want to and breaking any chairs? Like, it's the property rights of that owner who owns that chair. Just like it's the property rights of the person who owns that child.
Did she just say that?
I'm sorry, did you hear that?
Okay with slavery?
Slavery.
Yeah. Because I'd be owning.
It depends on how you define slavery. Like, the prison system is technically slavery, as in they're held there against their will and they sometimes are forced to work. I'm okay with that.
Because they committed a human rights violation, or like committed.
Exactly. So their personhood or moral value has been decreased.
So just to be clear with this, real quick, just to be super abundantly clear, I can organ harvest.
Oh, you're trying to clip me, aren't you?
We've been compromised. Over.
Yes. If the parents consented, yes.
Wild.
That's wild, yeah.
Thanks for that clip, Misha.
You're welcome.
That's crazy.
I have no problem with what I'm saying being used against me unless somebody could give me a better qualifier for moral value. I think it's very intuitive to say plants or chairs don't have any moral value in spite of them not having a will to be violated. I think that's very intuitive. So go ahead and clip that too.
She's unhinged.
And I've already told you that they have the exact same sleep patterns as an adult sleeping human, which you have already said that we cannot unalive or grape or do anything morally abhorrent to. But for some reason, when these exact same things are present in a fetus, you want to make excuses for as to why that you can slaughter them in the womb. And honestly, it's quite infuriating because you pro-choicers just try to come up with every excuse in the book to try to push it off as late as possible, usually to like 20 weeks or viability, which is completely arbitrary when there is brain activity before then. You guys just have this confirmation bias. You're like using this 24-week study for consciousness when we clearly see that there is brain activity before then.
A completely arbitrary length, no matter what it is.
Okay. I'm not trying to call you out to be condescending, by the way. That's literally your name. I'm not saying that you would get offended, but whatever.
Oh, whatever.
But brain activity or brain waves isn't the only way that we measure whether or not the cerebral cortex is working or whether or not the brainstem is working. We can measure this in different ways.
So what makes you the arbiter of consciousness begins at the cerebral cortex? Because even scientists can't determine exactly what causes consciousness to occur. So what makes you the arbiter of when consciousness occurs?
What makes you the arbiter of who?
I'm not, and I've already said that I'm not a neurologist. But
I don't have the intellect to refute these arguments.
I'm saying, based on the evidence we have, there hasn't ever been a case where someone didn't at least have some part of the cerebral cortex. I'm about to state it. So we can look at life without a brain, neurobiological, I don't know the whole thing, but look up nature, and it'd be life without a brain. That's the name of the article, and that's the name of the website. And it observed cases where people have like chunks of their brain missing. So this person had like, I don't even know how fraction, but they had at least all of these cases where people were living, at least had some part, not living as in like alive, but you know, like us, like moving and thinking, etc. and stuff like that, at least had some part of the cerebral cortex as well as their brainstem. So we can discern that at least some fraction of these things are important to support such states. That's the evidence we have.
Yeah, and we've already went over this with all of the examples that I just gave you, with Trevor Waltrip, Noah Wall. So I don't know where else to go from here, because you already said that we could grape them.
Oh, yeah, that's wild, yeah.
Which is wild.
Nope. So Trevor Waltrip didn't have a cerebral cortex. He only had some part of his brainstem. And I said a brainstem in accordance. Thank you for the rose. And like these two things
That
have to
half a
work
penny.
together.
Yeah, thank you for that half a penny. That's great. You already said that
Don't be jealous.
Yeah, you already said that we could grape somebody like Trevor Waltrip, which is wild.
Oh yeah, that's wild. Yeah.
Because most of our population would say that that's not okay to do. So I don't know why you're not granting moral consideration to people just because they don't have a cerebral cortex. I don't think if I put a cerebral cortex on a fucking table that you're going to value this. I don't really think you value this physical part of the brain. I don't think you do at all. I think that it's just some arbitrary line.
A completely arbitrary length, no matter what it is.
So you can allow for abortions to be up to like 20 plus weeks.
Yeah, I don't value a cerebral cortex by itself. How many times have I said this? And you're saying that, well, most people wouldn't find this intuitive, therefore that should be enough reasoning for me to question my position. Back in the 1800s, most people didn't find it intuitive that people like me were persons. Does that mean that would be a sufficient rebuttal to a slavery abolitionist that, oh, most people would disagree with you or not find this intuitive?
Yeah, most people would not find it intuitive to grape Trevor Waltrip. That we should just allow this in our society.
That's not a sufficient rebuttal.
Yeah, what's going to be sufficient then?
Like a better qualifier for personhood, for one. We should value humans not because of the... That's why I'm asking you. I already stated my case, and you're saying you disagree with it because A, you think Trevor Waltrip is a person because most people would say that he is, and two, if you put the cerebral cortex on the table, I wouldn't value it. Yes, I wouldn't.
No, I'm not saying the qualifier has to be because most people think it is. I don't think you need to be anything more than human and alive to have some sort of moral consideration.